everybody. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, Monica.
Yeah, take the mute off. Good
Hey,
job.
Monica.
Yeah. I am gonna just take a second before we get the ball rolling to address all of my fellow soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, guardians, and coasties. Thank you if you are serving. Thank you for your service if you're a veteran. Thank you for your commitment and support to a military member in your family. I don't give a tuck what anyone else's opinion is on that matter. You are all amazing to me. Now I have to figure out how Stephen Colbert goes from that to this. Hi, how are you? I do. I love women. I love women so much. I love a certain type of woman. I have a type. If you don't have women who are 60 to death in your life, you should get some. They don't care anymore. They have no limit to what they're going to do. They have no inside voice. They will wear their curlers to the grocery store. They do not care. I do love them. Apparently, the biggest thing with my little pack is any baby out there without a hat on its head. That is like a national crime. It's like a federal offense. And they will ask me, do you see that baby? The baby's got no hat on its head. Why do you think the baby, do they know we could knit a baby hat? We could knit a baby hat right now. Why doesn't the baby have a hat on its head? And I'm like, you've got to lower your voice. We're in church. It's the baptism. Take a minute. I love them. They're all of them. They've been in lockdown because they're being really good, but they're starting to plan capers, and they will contact me with the capers they would like to run once lockdown is over, as if I am working with Ocean's 80. They can only commit crime between 1 and 3, and nobody can do any night driving. It's a very weird group. I love them to pieces. And a couple of them reached out because I have a birthday coming up on Monday. No, it's not a big birthday. No. Birthday.
Happy early birthday. Woo!
No. I love you. But, from like 0 to 10 and 90 to death, birthdays are really important, right? Like that's the time when everybody goes, oh my God, you're older. Like it doesn't matter in that group. People are excited. But after that, there are only so many birthdays that are worth it, right? There's I've become a designated driver. I've become a voter. Mm-hmm. I need a designated driver. Like those are like really important. And then you hit the aughts, right? Like nobody cares unless you've hit an aught, like 30, 40, 50. Nobody sends you a birthday card. Hallmark doesn't have a whole slew of them going, oh my God, you're 37. Like nobody cares. Those birthdays aren't important. And I was talking with a friend of mine about this, and he was like, no, you forgot like the most important birthday of all. Like, no, I didn't, but thank you for helping me write my joke. He said, you forgot about 25. I'm like, nobody cares in this century. If you can make it to a quarter of a century, you're supposed to, right? And he was like, no, 25 is a huge year for men. Mm-hmm. Huge year for men, because that's the time when the car insurance drops and becomes lower. And I was like, yes, I'll say this to a bunch of women on a women comedy show about how important it is for men. I said, all you've taught me is that there's a 9-year span where men pay more for an everyday product. Yay, you. Yay, you. But birthdays are great. Women are great. I am super excited to be here with the comics you're about to see. I agree with the woman in the film. We are funny because we are funny. And we are gathered together as women, but we are funny because we are funny. And because of that, I want you to do the following for me. When someone tells a joke, you laugh. When someone tells a joke and you don't want to laugh. That's an important safety tip. Applaud. Please, ASAP has given me so much. You will hear a lot about ASAP. We have been very fortunate in this time of a virtual reality to be able to bring all these women together from different places. I'm super excited. So I'm going to get the ball rolling because I heard the other night the comedians were like doctors that have been healing people. This was not said to me by another comic, but I'm going to take it. So I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the medical team. I thought counting was important, but it's me. This next comedian will not be winning any awards this year for Mom or Wife of the Year. She would rather spend her time day trading penny stocks and drinking coffee. She's currently living in the smallest state in the Union of Rhode Island, but please give her a big warm welcome, Naomi, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Thank you, Monica. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. It's wonderful. Monica, you look fabulous. I love your hair. I'm so jealous. Anyway, but I just want to say I have a socially unacceptable number of children. I have four club and more. I feel ya. But people treat it as if it's too much to handle. It's not, unless you have that one kid. And I've got that one kid. He's shaken, not stirred like the rest of them. I didn't believe in reincarnation until number 4. There is a Marine trapped inside that tiny little body of his, which is killing this Navy brat, Navy wife's soul. He has the mentality, if he can't go over it, he's going under it. And if he can't go under it, he's going straight through it. He's not done with his mission until it's complete, which means it's a lot of chaos and destruction. I know why I have that kid. It's because of that guy I married. As my mother likes to remind me, I had a choice. We've been married 18 years now, and I have to say marriage is not for the faint of heart. No. Especially if one of you is aging faster than the other. And they're no longer cute. Because you know it's not me. He married for love, and I married him because I wanted average height children. Don't look at me like that. I am 5'3", and marriage is a business contract. You only sign it if it's mutually beneficial for the both of you. Okay? Pro, I'm getting tall kids. Con, I'm having his kids. Now that I'm in my 40s, I feel like I need to embrace adulting. I got rid of all my Bath and Body lotions and soaps, and I've upgraded to Chanel No. 5. With a hint of icy hot. I even had to start using that kinesiology tape, the K tape. But let's just call it what it is. Body duct tape. No one wants to see my hips pop out as I'm chasing my kid through the store. But I've learned to work smarter, not harder. Except my twin sister likes to tell me that I'm taking the feminist movement back 50 years. She doesn't like my idea of my emergency roadside kit for my car, which includes a red dress and heels. I'm not changing a flat tire. It's also there just in case I want to trade in and upgrade my husband. It's true. There are days. But I gotta keep it fun. Because kids make you want to pull your hair out and hide under the blankets. They're just crazy. They don't even call me mom. They call me honey. Which means because people think I'm the babysitter when we're out in public. And how do you even get them to stop doing things that are inappropriate? I asked my son to stop picking his nose and eating his boogers, and he responded back, "It's okay, honey." It's just nose food. Or number 3 comes into the kitchen, no shirt on, arms up in the air, and he starts spinning around yelling, "I'm a stink tornado." Honestly, I think the worst is just trying to get them to understand that passing gas in public is not a laughing matter. Even when number 4 says out loud, "My butt burped." Excuse me? Oh man, honestly, I thought out of 4 kids, I'd get 1 winner. But it's been a weird year, right? But I found an annoying but somewhat decent outcome from COVID is having to do the Zoom telehealth. The only real issue I have is all the kids at home and there's no privacy. So who knew that my Victorian medical dictionary would come in handy? Yes, doctor. My constitution is weak today, and I'm suffering from severe bouts of melancholia, and I'm on the verge of hysteria, suffering greatly from menstrual madness. But I gotta say, it's been wonderful being able to do this show with women, and I told my daughter I was not going to embarrass her tonight by telling her a joke about her. So she suggested she write a joke for me. So I'm going to close tonight with her joke. And I'm going to try, I don't sound like an 11-year-old, but just imagine a preteen. We all go out in public with honey. It's very hard to contain all of us. As a preteen, I am a dream, and the toddler is the worst. There is a lot of screaming, fighting, and silliness with the 4 of us. It is no wonder that everyone honey meets, she has to tell them, "Don't mind the clown car." And that's my time. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Back to you, Monica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I figured out the mute button. It's only been a year, right? Thank you so much, Naomi, for talking about my hair. One of the COVID tips I've learned, aside from you don't have to use a hamper if you can just fill out the washing machine, is that you don't have to curl the back of your head. No one's ever going to see it. I'm really excited to bring the next person up. She's great. She is an amazing person. She's a U.S. Army veteran. She's a spouse and then she's also a mother to 3 future anarchists. Yeah. Her pastime is laughing at others. So, she's done comedy with us. She's done storytelling with us. She's really hit every single aspect that ASAP has to offer. I'm really pleased that she's on this set tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Maureen Elias.
Woo, Maureen. Woo.
Thank you all. And thanks, Monica. Yep, I'm Maureen, and I have a TBI, or a traumatic brain injury. You know, as opposed to a calming brain injury. You do the yoga music. One of the most frustrating things in learning to live with my TBI is how much I forget what I was saying or doing. My kids will come up and ask me, "Hey, Mom, you're going to make dinner, right?" And they're thinking that I've forgotten about their basic nutritional needs, when really, I forgot I had kids. Where are your parents? I think they're learning to game the system, though, now. They'll come up and tell me, "Hey, Mom, remember you said you'd give me $20 for brushing my teeth?" And I don't want to call my own children liars, so I pop open the wallet. I'm pretty sure I'm funding an underground gambling ring. I got my TBI when I was in the military. Yup, 5.5 years in the good old US Army. They took great care of me when I was in the service. I got yearly physicals, biannual dental exams, and hourly ass chewings.
Yeah.
When you're active duty, you're in uniform, you matter, you're in charge. Now that I'm out, I still wear a uniform. Granted, it's yoga pants and that free t-shirt I got for doing volunteer work. And I still matter to the dog.
Yeah.
And I'm still in charge, just in charge of different things like paying the bills, keeping the house clean, not killing my children. Although I'm pretty sure my youngest is planning a coup. In the military, integrity is everything. As a mom, deception is everything. I routinely pawn off store-bought brownies as homemade for the PTA bake sale. Hello, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, the female orgasm. Constant lies. And I still exercise every day. I lift my legs so I can recline my bark lounger. I used to be a size 8. Now I'm a size none of your goddamn business. I would organize security events across 3 continents. Now I forget to bring wine on wine night. I have been trained in multiple techniques of human behavior analysis. Where I used to use them to catch thieves, now I use them on my kids to determine, is she farting or is she pooping? Oh God, she's pooping, move, move, move. I have also been trained in multiple techniques of lie detection. In fact, so is my husband. You would think the children of 2 human lie detectors would be able to lie like seasoned politicians. Yeah. Oh yeah, no worries. This COVID thing will be over in a couple of months. They suck at it. And my husband, bless his heart, he is so patient with me in my injury. I forget to pay bills all the time. We'll be sitting down to dinner and the power cut off and I'm like, oh no. Oh. The kid will go out during his football game. He doesn't get mad. He just pulls out his cell phone to watch it there. And that's when I leave the room before he realizes I forgot to pay that bill too. But like kids, I think he's starting to take advantage of it. He keeps telling me I promised to love, obey, and do butt stuff in our wedding vows. Oh. I mean, I hate to go back on a vow I made before God. And I'm really surprised I would have said that in front of my super conservative Mormon parents. Of course, I did have a glass of wine before my wedding. And a promise is a promise. One of the best things about having a TBI is I can use headaches as an excuse to get out of anything. Helping with homework, sex, Grandpa Charlie's funeral. Yeah. And no one is going to call BS on me. After all, I'm a soldier with a brain injury. Thank you for my service. Actually, thank you for my cervix. Because when I got my first civilian job, I had to learn a whole other language. I call it workplace womanese. In the military, I gave direct orders, and they were followed. Now I make suggestions, which my boss says are terrible. And then 5 minutes later, he says the exact same words. And everyone applauds. And I have to say, wow, that's a great idea. That's workplace womanese. In the military, I was straightforward. Now I have to gentle my words. And by gentle, I mean not using the F-bomb every other word. And I certainly can't get away with calling a man a douche canoe anymore. Unless I want to visit the HR office. And honestly, it wasn't bad the first 2 times I went there. But now that I'm working from home, I have a whole new set of things I'm afraid I'm going to forget. I'm afraid I'm going to forget to take mommy's fun stick off the shelf behind me. Or that I might stand up and forget to turn the video off and they'll see my thong through my ever-tightening yoga pants. Or that I'll forget to blow on my coffee mug and people will realize this isn't coffee, it's wine. Well, wine's out, I'm out.
Woo. Yeah. That was good. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Maureen. So we're going to just keep this going. The next comic up is a military spouse, also a mother, but more importantly, a very funny lady. Ladies and gentlemen, Sherry Priester.
Thank you. Thanks, Monica. I too am having a birthday, and I have realized that if you tell people you're a lot older than you are, they think that you look better than you do. So y'all, I'm telling you, I look great for 102. I've been married for 31 years to the same man, not like his and hers, just us. And I've learned that our romance has changed over time, right? Because like the other day he goes, "Hey, honey, tonight I'm going to wine and dine you." I said, "Oh, that sounds great. But how about you 409 me first and clean this house?" Because, buddy, if you want foreplay, I need chore play. That's how this is going to work. Now, I do want to thank all the veterans with us. And I am not a veteran, but I am a Navy spouse. I'm a Navy wife. In fact, I am a trophy Navy wife. Ooh. Because I am smart and I am strong. And honey, I can go a long time without a husband because I'm really self-sufficient. Also a mother. And when I became a mother, I learned immediately, like, we worry way too much about just crap. And I learned really, I appreciated my mother then because she worried about the strangest thing. She would say to me like, "Oh, Sherry, I do not want you listening to that double music because that will rub off on you." Or like, "You know, your friend is nice, but she dresses like a slut and I don't want that rubbing off on you." But she never worried about my friend Charles from church rubbing off on me. And trust me, she should have, because he dry humped my leg for a year. When I became a mother, I realized we lie. Oh God, we lie about everything and we will throw anybody under the bus. Because I have said to my child, "Oh honey, you don't like your Christmas present? Blame Santa because he brought you that." And I have learned to say great mom things like, "I am your mother and I would not lie to you," as I'm lying to them. Or, "I do not have a favorite. I love you all equally." That's bullshit. I have a favorite. We all have a favorite. We don't admit it because we don't want the child that thinks they're not the favorite to pick out our funeral clothes. Because y'all, I don't want to meet Jesus wearing a sequin tube top and bright orange lipstick. That's not how I want to go out. I've taken each child to the side and whispered, "I love you the most. You're my favorite. Don't tell your sister." I have 2 daughters. I have the favorite and the other favorite, because y'all are not stupid. Shopping the other day, and I've realized that fashion has really changed. So we were, shopping, and my daughter said, "Hey, Mom, that's the dress. You got to buy that dress, but you can't wear panties with it. You got to wear a thong or you go without." I said, "Excuse me, I will not be wearing those devil drawers. Because A, wedgies are evil. And B, what happens if I wear it and I die?" She goes, "What does that have to do with it?" I can't meet Jesus wearing Satan's panties. Come on now. What am I supposed to say? The devil made me do it? With all the lying I've done as a mother. My life has changed a lot recently because my youngest daughter, the baby, I call her the mean one, she's moved back home. She's cramping my style. I can't get her to leave. The other night, she came in. It was like 9 o'clock. So, we were in bed. She comes in, she yells up the stairs, "Hello." Y'all, we were busted. We parted like the Red Sea. I flung my husband across the room. He hit the floor and popped up like a whack-a-mole. Honestly, if I hadn't been laughing so hard, I would have been worried I'd broken, because I can't be breaking him. I cannot be training a new husband at this stage in my life. This man is perfect, and he did not come out of the box that way. Still yelling, "Hello." And my husband, this bright man, yells out, "Don't come up here." He could have yelled anything. He chose, "Don't come up here." She figures out what's going on. She screams and she leaves. 4 days later, she comes back. 4 days. Wouldn't look me in the eye. She just looked down and she said, Mom, I'm moving out. And I said, oh, honey, if I had only known that's what it took, I'd have hung a sex swing on the front porch months ago. Not a good mom. Not a good mom. I've got older, right? And I've learned with age, it sucks because you got to take care of yourself. Right? I went by the gym today. I didn't stop y'all. I just went on by there because it's next to the liquor store, and that's my happy place. Your body changes, right? Like my husband's hair started to fall out, and I said, listen, I don't want you to be one of those guys that wears a hat because that's cheating. That's how a girl gets hat-fished. And he said, okay. I don't want you to be cheating and wearing Spanx because that's how a guy gets fat-fished. Both right. Become a grandmother in the last few years, and I want to tell you, it is perfect. Like, it's all the perks of parenting with none of the responsibility. And my friends are becoming grandparents, which means I'm looking at a lot of baby pictures, and you always just say, oh my God, babies are such a blessing. They're such a blessing. And we all know that blessing is code for ugly baby. Okay, that's what you tell a mama with an ugly baby. And I know because I was an ugly baby and I had 2 ugly babies. That's how I know Jesus was an ugly baby, because Mary was blessed.
So true. So true.
I have learned one thing. I'm going to end with this. I have learned that over the years, grandmas have changed completely. Like my granny, y'all, she had boobs to her knees. I mean, they were like tennis balls in a tube sock, right? I know she like jacked those mothers up every morning. It was like, they were locked and loaded in that bullet bra. And she never drank, not a drop. But grandmothers today, oh, we got boob jobs. We drink Jose and Rose all day. And I am telling you, in the future, there are going to be nursing homes just full of stacked grannies, swigging tequila and twerking in their thong depends. Thank you guys so much. I want to turn it back over to our host.
It's going to be a tricky one to wear.
It'll happen.
Yeah, I got to tell you, my grandmother didn't drink either. As long as she had a teacup, she was drinking tea. It didn't matter. You didn't have to test it out. But also, as the child who dressed my mother for her funeral this year, I just called her friends over, and they vetoed the first 2 outfits that I picked out for my mom by saying, it's just too dark. It looks too funereal. Well, isn't that the key? And they said no. And she went in like a glitter tank top and like a brocade jacket, but no shoes because they thought that would be uncomfortable.
Well,
She's ready to hit some sort of cruise ship dinner. I gotta tell you, she was dressed to the nines. We didn't even have an open casket. Like, they were very particular. But coming to the stage now is another funny woman. She is an Army vet. She is a para-athlete, a storyteller. And when she isn't running across the country, she's running her mouth, teaching kiddos to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Candy Kane.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like Maureen, I have a hidden disability. When I'm not in my wheelchair, it's a secret. You know what? I forgot. It's Women's History Month. I must give a shout out to a lady with integrity and one who changed the face of medicine, Miss Lorena Bobbitt. Had she not told them his man parts were in the bushes, there would have been no advancements in medical history. And you know, like Sherry said, moms lie. You know, my mom told me I was special. Lies. We all come from the same unprotected sex. Yeah, I got one kid because I'm a quitter. I think I should get an award for being a mom, though. Not that loose change that you get in the washing machine. No, I need an award because I picked the best veggies to throw in the trash.
Me too.
I'm not a hoarder, but every flat surface in my house is a waste station for junk. And I taught my son important life skills. I took an archery target and I put it in the toilet. Now we call him Bullseye. His wife will thank me. You know, I can never find what I'm looking for in my house. But I can find a dirty plate in his room. I can find stale cookies in a backpack and a coffee table with my pinky toe. Lately, I've been missing socks. And since we got plenty of masks, I broke into my neighbor's house, undetected. I didn't find my stuff though, so I left a note. Dear Dominique, you ain't the only one who's short silverware. I'm missing spoons and forks too. P.S. That cake in the fridge, divine. No wonder you always trying to borrow brown sugar. Where most people would sign their notes with regards or cordially, I signed mine, yours truly, because it's yours truly. I'm done with it. I'm a quitter. You know, 2020 was rough, and 2021, man, I'm expecting some abnormal activity, like The Walking Dead in my missing socks. Those silverware stealing critters, or maybe my son cleaning. Anything. Yeah, my son being dirty is all my fault. When he soiled his diaper, I cleaned him. When he drooled, I wiped him up. And when he got dirty on the playground, I was like, man up. Dirt ain't gonna kill you. My mom, I lied. Because if he don't clean that room, I'm gonna kill him. You know, there's just too much sex on TV, like heterosexual, homosexual, asexual. It like has no benefit. I mean, I got a man at home I don't even use.
Ask her who she stole that from.
Who did you steal that from?
You know, when the pandemic started, it scared me to know how many of my friends watched The Tiger King. I watched 2 minutes of an episode because I got morals. Nah, I'm just a quitter. You know, something else I found that was scary was an advertisement. I saw this poor man in a wheelchair in the bottom of the ocean during Shark Week. It was adaptive scuba diving. Do you know, to a shark, every week is Shark Week. I am not trying to be in my wheelchair looking for an ADA compliant man-eating shark. But that's it. I quit. That's my time. And help me welcome back our host, Monica. Thank you.
No. Every week is Shark Week. Every day is Shark Week. They can be in charge. I am with you on that. I'm with you on that. I've even changed out parts, put in a pony keg, and I'm still worried about Shark Week. The next comedian has been performing comedy since her retirement from the Army last year. Very excited to say that she is joining us live from the Military Women's Memorial. Please welcome Robin Phoenix.
Any moms in the audience?
Yeah.
I'm having a drink. I'm going to toast to the moms. By the way, if you are drinking tonight and you are not a mom, you're enjoying your drink. If you're a mom, you earned it. I drink because I have mommy issues. And by mommy issues, I mean I'm a mom. I'm not trying to complain. It's just that I want to put it in perspective for you guys. You get 7 years of bad luck for breaking a mirror, but you get 18 years for breaking a condom. I probably seem hateful, but I'm going through this phase with my daughter right now where she likes to slam the door and tell me that she just needs her personal space. I'm like, chick, you came out of my personal space. It's hard work, but I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for my kids. I'm not like one of those moms that will complain about them. And then in the next sentence, they're like, but I couldn't imagine my life without them. I imagine it all the time. I really do. But I'm very blessed. I have an amazing husband. He shoulders the burden of parenthood with me equally. I just wish that he would like learn that when they say, I want mommy, that means like, I want to talk to your supervisor. I'm the boss. I'm also really jealous because I feel like dad bods are unfair. Like we have to work really hard to be sexy. I mean, you don't see anyone saying, I love that C-section and then those stretch marks, like a mom bod is not hot. But you can have a beer gut and man boobs. That's all good. And they don't even have the social pressure to wear a bra, which I am really mad about because I had to take algebra just to learn how to do bra sizing. It's like the only thing that has like numbers and letters together. It's like, what is a 38D plus a 12P equal? Body image issues, that's what it equals. I am trying to lose weight. My youngest is 8, so it's going a little slow. I bought a Peloton. Not because I was trying to lose weight, but because I was Army, I always wanted to know what it was like to be Air Force and be in a group that thought they were better than everybody else. So, I'm Peloton woke now, Peloton woke, which means I realized that you could do Peloton rides without telling everyone about it. Let me post on Facebook why I spent $3,500 on a bike that goes nowhere. My Peloton's basically a clothes rack right now, so I've had to do some desperate things. I've had to tape my swimsuit to my refrigerator, which sounds really good, but whenever I get up to my refrigerator, my swimsuit says to me, don't eat anything. It's just a few weeks until you're in the itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And then that sounds motivating, but my sweatpants also talk. And you're like, nah, girl, you good. Zoom is only from the chest up. I promise. But I feel like if you don't have the body right, you should at least get your face right. Right. I mean, for us in comedy, it's a business expense. It's a tax write-off. No excuses. So I get Botox. I do. I'm not just a fan of it for myself. I'm a fan of it for everyone, especially my husband. He's a very sexy man, but he has these lines. He has these lines in his forehead, and he falls asleep sometimes. I'm going to admit, I just lay there and I stare at them. And I just imagine stabbing them. And it's like, we've been there for 18 years. I will have you know that I am not the only person in our relationship that is trying to shove something into the other person while they're sleeping. What really ticks me off is when you spend $500 a quarter on Botox when you don't get carded at the liquor store. I have a mask on, okay? So you're essentially telling me my eyes and forehead look old. I have Dr. Duhamel do my Botox. I know that's not true. That's a shout out. Discount next time. He's watching. So one day I'm just fed up. I'm like asking the cashier, sir, excuse me, sir, but could you please tell me why you didn't card me? He was like, yes, ma'am, because you said please and sir.
Oh,
I just had manners.
oh, oh.
Well, I just got the light, and I want to say this. I'm surrounded by a whole squad of women, and I know you guys think that they did an all-women lineup tonight because it's Women's History Month. That's not true. It's not true at all. In fact, they just wanted to make sure that all of us could last a full 5 minutes. Not being my male comedian. Guys, there's no shame in finishing early. I happen to know a lot can happen in 2 to 3 minutes. I have to prove it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the support online and here. Thank you so much.
Robin. Hey, Robin, coming to us live from the Military Women's Memorial. That's amazing. I've been really excited to do the show. I've been really excited with our lineup. I know I say that about every single comic who's coming up, but it's true. If you know me, things just come from my head straight out of my mouth. There isn't a lot of planning. But I am so excited about our next comic. Like Jerry Springer-esque kind of excited about our next comic. I can't wait. She's a New Jersey-based stand-up comedian. She's appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, where she was chosen by Jerry Seinfeld to win the Seinfeld Challenge. And in 2021, she won the headliner category of the U.S. Comedy Contest. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ashley Gutermuth.
Hey, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. You are all so lovely. Everybody's been so funny. Thank you so much for coming out. It's wonderful. This has been great. Oh my goodness. I do a lot of these Zoom shows, and I did one last night, and I could hear some people in the audience talking. You know, that's how I know I'm doing super well as a comedian. When the audience entertains themselves. How'd the show go? Oh, it was great. They talked the whole time. So anyway, so there was this woman, and she looked at me, and then she looked at her friend, and you know what she said? I'll tell you what she said. This is what she said. She said, I can't believe that she's not a lesbian. Well, looks like you guys can't believe it either. Okay, great start. Great start. You're not alone. You're not alone. You know who thinks that too? My friends, my parents, and the first time we met, my husband. Yeah. That one stung. So I am married, and my husband, a man. Believe it. Take it into your heart. It's true. I'll just let it sit with you for a minute. Yeah. My husband is 20 years older than I am.
Wow.
Maybe I should let that sit with you too. Process. 20 years. My goodness. You know, he has sweatshirts older than me. Still wears them. He still wears them. And you can tell because they just say things like Blockbuster. He's got one. I made him throw away the one that just said Enron. Like, why?
Wow. Yes, yes.
Why do you even have that? What? People can be a little judgmental. You guys are great, but people can be a little judgmental about me being married to an older man. But guys, I'm here to tell you, it wasn't like my goal, you know. I didn't have it on my vision board, you know. What would that even look like? Just like a guy with a cane, prune juice. You know? My mom walks in and she's like, Ashley, what's that? That's my retirement plan. Yeah. She's like, well, as long as you're planning, well done.
That was a good one.
Thank you. I never had a guidance counselor take me aside and be like, Ashley, when you grow up, what do you want to do? He's from Jersey. What do you want to do? Well, what do I want to do? I don't know. What do I want to do? An older man? Got any of those out back? No? Get out? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have short hair. I like to come out and say that because sometimes people think that I don't know. I'll see women like elbowing their husbands in the audience and being like, can you see what she's done? Oh my God. Look at that. Go tell her what she's done. She'll appreciate it. No, I won't. My hair makes people make assumptions about me, but I've just embraced it, you know? Like when I go to get my hair cut, I'll say to the stylist, can you cut my hair in a way that makes people ask me if I'm in the Air Force?
I was thinking Marine.
Nailed it. Yeah, Marines. You nailed it. My husband is actually in the Air Force, and I show my support for him every day with my haircut. He's like, do you really support my career? And I'm like, look at this high and tight.
High and tight.
High and tight, that's right. Freedom hair. That's what I call this, freedom hair. Oh, a lot of my friends got divorced during the pandemic. My relationship survived. And I think it's because we have great communication and trust. And my husband was deployed.
That's a good reason.
My husband is a smart man. He's a smart man. Given the choice between quarantining with me and going to war, he chose war. Yeah. It's smart, you know. With one choice, he might end up getting shot. And with the other, he has to sleep in a tent. Tell you what, regular civilian audiences, I can say Air Force sleeps in a tent, but you all know they're gonna marry up.
Sleep in a tent.
Even when they go to war, they're like, I'm getting my Marriott points. I got elite status. When I got married to a military man, I was given this book. This book is ridiculous. Some of you might know what this is. The Air Force Wife Handbook.
They have one for real?
Oh, yeah, they do. They have one. The Army one's even longer. This book should be called How to Build a Stepford Wife. My husband didn't give this to me, and you know that because he's still alive. Him to death with the book, and I'll, this book is 317 pages long. This is too long. Stephen Hawking's Brief History of Time. 212 pages. That's all of time. Brief, but all of time. Everybody, you have been wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.
That was so good.
That was awesome.
Ashley Goodermuth, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it.
Woo! Yeah.
Ashley, for all the comics you've seen tonight. Yes? Yes, my love. No, we were awesome. We were awesome. I am going to hand off the host to Maureen Elias for the rest of the show. Thank you guys so much. I've had a great time hosting so far. I'm so glad you're here. Please stick around for the rest of it. Uh,
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. We have Sara Schaefer, a critically acclaimed stand-up comedian, writer, and producer with us tonight. Some of her accomplishments include co-hosting MTV's late night show, Nikki and Sarah Live. Her Comedy Central stand-up presents half hour special debuted in November of 2019. She's won not one, but 2 Emmy Awards for her work at Late Night with Jimmy Fallon and won a WGA award for her work on Ed Helms' Comedy Central special, The Fake News with Ted Nelms. She has also written for numerous programs, including the Mark Twain Prize for her American Humor Comedy Central's Problematic with Moshe Kasher and Not Safe with Nikki Glasser. Sarah's memoir, Grand, came out in August of 2020. So please help me welcome Sara. Hi, Sara.
Hi.
It's
first off, I just want to say all the comedians tonight, you guys are so good. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. We're like that texting each other like,
You're great.
It's such an honor to have you tonight. When Imke asked if I could interview you, I was like, cool. So I started Googling and watching you, and man, you kill me. I loved your comedy.
Thank you.
So I just have a couple of questions. And again, I want to thank you for supporting the Armed Services Arts Partnership. It means the world to us, and we're glad to have you here for our Women's History Month performance. So my first question is, in watching your performances, you tackle tough topics like mental health, politics, and body shaming. Can you speak a little on how comedy allows you the freedom to speak about topics that might otherwise be considered taboo or off limits?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I have to think about it because, you know, I'm not typically, there's comedians, as you know, will have like different sort of lanes that they operate in. And some will say, oh, I'm the self-deprecating one. I'm the edgy one that's, I say the truth, you know, like, and I think I live in maybe a little bit of all the lanes, but I love, basically at my heart, I'm a storyteller. And I think that I deal with my own issues and anxiety and fears in the world by trying to laugh about it. But I really don't approach comedy from a place of wanting to be provocative, other than I want to connect with my audience and go, you know what, that weird thing you feel about this or that, like maybe I feel it too. And in the end, I want to make people feel good. I think there are comedians who actually want the audience to be uncomfortable. And I don't like that necessarily. I don't mind it being uncomfortable. And I like to make people uncomfortable and then bring them back in and be like, you're okay. I was just kidding, you know? So, but yeah, I do think that comedy can, like when I feel myself getting too serious in any setting, like in a work meeting or, you know, with family or whatever, I'll try to undercut it with a joke because sometimes it's just a defense mechanism for an uncomfortable or awkward situation, you know?
Awesome. I love that you talked about storytelling. One of our programs that we have in the Armed Services Arts Partnership is storytelling, and I'm one of the instructors for the class. And you talked about connecting with your audience, and storytelling is such a great way to connect with your audience. So shout out to the storytellers. So next question is, like the military, women are dramatically underrepresented in comedy. So what advice would you give a woman who wants to go into comedy or further develop her comedy career?
Well, no time is better for women in comedy than right now. It gets better, I think, every day. What's changed since I started comedy was, and this will be an answer to your question, I promise. But when I started out, there was far fewer women doing it. And then even 20 years before me, there was way less. So when I started, it was, you know, I would do shows and there would only be one woman on the lineup. So I didn't form a lot of bonds with female comedians early on, and we didn't have a community the way that women comics have a real community now. Like we've sort of, you know, we used to kind of look at each other as competition or lone wolves. And now we've sort of realized that we're stronger when we're united and know each other, support each other. For a long time, I was on this text group with a bunch of other female headliners, and when we had to cancel a show, we would text the group and go, does anyone want my spot? So that it wouldn't go to a man, I ended up having to quit the text chain because it became too intense. I literally would have like 200 text messages every hour, just too much oversharing. As much as I loved that, it was too much. But anyway, but my advice is to find the other women comedians, support each other, because the men are doing that, and I'm not to say that male comedians are a huge part of my community and my friend group of who I came up with. But I would say, find each other, support each other, help each other. Don't look at each other as competition. Literally go to lunch and help make each other's jokes better. Find someone, literally do that. Because I look back and I was like too afraid to lean on other women comics sometimes. And I wish I had done that more. But also I just say, performing as a woman on stage, especially if you're also have compounding issues of race or disability or other things, just by performing, you are doing something radical. Because even to this day, the myths of women aren't funny, or you shouldn't be doing this, you should be quiet, are really stubborn, and they still persist. And so just by getting up there, you are doing something political in a way, whether you're a political comedian or not. And so I just say, keep that in mind and give yourself a pat on the back if it feels tough. There's a reason it's harder for us. It just is. But that means that when you do have your successes, that you earned them.
Thank you. I love that. I loved that you talked about women kind of supporting one another, because sometimes there is some of that awful mean girl stuff out there. And, we see some of that in the military. I have seen some of that as I've joined in the women veteran space. And, for those women who are willing to support and make room, like you talked about in your talk, to make room for other voices and to pull up chairs at the table so other women and other demographics can join is such a powerful thing. So great answer. Not that I'm testing you on this or anything, but I loved your answer.
I hope it helps. Another piece of advice is just learn to enjoy pain. And then it will become much easier.
Awesome. So masochism is the key to got it. So along those lines, is there any advice you would have as women progress in their careers on how they might find the right manager? I Googled you and saw on your website that you have a manager. Any advice on that process?
Well, when you're starting out, all you can think about is like, how do I get an agent or a manager? How do I get these things? And everyone will say the same thing I'm about to tell you, which is, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. They'll come to you. When you're ready, it will happen. And that's a very frustrating thing to hear, but it actually is true. And the more you get out there and get seen, the more you're going to get noticed by managers and agents. I would say be very careful when if your peers that have been doing it around the same time as you don't have managers and agents, and then someone approaches you, be careful, because sometimes when you're younger and starting out in this business, and younger, I mean by experience, not age, but that is a time when you are vulnerable to predatory characters who may think that there's they may present themselves as a big shot agent or manager, and in fact, they're just a bush league piece of shit. Not that I've had personal experience with this. Not that I signed with a man who I won't say his name, but let's just say that he took a name. It wasn't his real name, I found out later. It was a fake name where he took a famous historical figure and then just changed the letter of the first. So for instance, his name was something along the lines of Gabraham Lincoln. It was something like that. I won't say his real name, but something like that. that should have been a red flag, but I was so desperate to like be validated and to move forward in my career. I was like, this guy seems great. No, it was a nightmare. I had to go to court to get rid of him. So be careful in those early stages. Make sure you vet, ask for references, make sure you've heard of at least one other person they represent, and don't sign anything. Don't sign anything until it's, you've got some backup on that. And again, just remember, the longer it takes for you to get an agent and manager, the longer it will take for you to have to pay one. And they take 10% usually. And that's another thing to remember. That means they are doing 10% or less of the work. So even when you get an agent or a manager, you are still doing 90% of the work. You will still get 90% of your gigs yourself, So just keep that in mind and take off some of that pressure and just focus on being, and this applies with any creative field, I think, not just comedy, but writing and anything where you're going to eventually want that kind of industry validation. Is just the most important thing you can do is do your work and share it with others and get feedback so you can improve.
Love it. Sorry, I'm taking notes because with the TBI,
welcome to class.
Yes,
I didn't do a set because I didn't want to make everyone else feel bad because I'm just so good. No, it was because I'm unprepared. I have nothing to say. The quarantine has ruined me. Anyway, continue.
That's actually the perfect segue into my question, talking about quarantine. Your special debuted right at the very end of 2019. Can you speak about how COVID or quarantine has impacted your art, if it has?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was planning on doing a big fall tour in 2020, and obviously that didn't happen. I had just started, like when you put out a special or new album, a lot of times you'll retire that material. And I had just started writing all new material and I was very excited about all of it and then had nowhere to really do it. I didn't really grasp onto the Zoom shows. Some people, as many of you guys showed tonight, have really done well over Zoom shows. I've started to warm up to it a little, but I also just have felt exhausted, the same levels of mental health stress that others have felt, and creativity has been hard to find sometimes. So I've just kind of looked at it as a time of where, because I've taken breaks from stand-up before or other forms of creativity, and that's actually sometimes good for you creatively, because then when you come out of it, you, like I've been saying, I can't wait to see what the artists do after this is over. And I'm not talking about your pandemic themed, one woman show. I don't really even want to see that. I don't want to have to relive it over and over. But I'm talking about what comes out of people from a time period of being very constricted, of suffering, and not that I think great art comes from suffering. I think great art comes from growth. And so what happens after this, I'm very interested in for myself. I don't know what is going to happen. I've had times where I thought maybe I would quit stand up. I don't even know. We'll see. Not to discourage you all, but quit.
No, I appreciate it.
Down on this thing.
Let's keep on going.
No, I appreciate your honesty in talking about, like, I get it's hard sometimes to see people who are just like doing all the great things during COVID. And sometimes I'm just like, I put on underwear today and I changed it for the first time.
So it's a lie. They're putting out, somebody, you don't know what other people's lives are actually like. And it's not that they're lying. It's just that you don't know, that the little bit I've put out in the world during COVID, like I made a video about Barbie, and I made, like I've done a couple things and put them out in the world. And to do those was so difficult and so painful, because like you said, some days you can only put your underwear on and then you've accomplished something. I mean, I think knowing you're not alone and your job was just to survive during this. And we're all in that same boat. Some have had it much harder than others. And it's not a competition because everybody's gone through this thing together, but it helps to have some perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate the honesty and vulnerability. Okay, so I see that in August of last year, your book Grand hit the book stands. Congratulations. That's always exciting. I love reading books by comedians because sometimes there's a lot of pain inside that the comedy is masking. So it's always been really one of my favorite things. I'm curious, what were your biggest challenges in that writing process and how did you overcome them?
The book was probably, I mean, not probably, it was definitely the hardest creative challenge I've ever faced in my life. It was a lot of really personal stuff in this book that I've never shared with the world before. And things that were surprisingly difficult to share that I thought would be easy and ended up being very difficult. And there were times where I really wanted to quit. I mean, I'm giving the short answer, but it has instilled in me so much confidence to work on. It took me 3 years from start to finish. I've never really worked on one thing that hard for that long, and to have the level of feedback I've gotten in the editing process and all that was really, really challenging. And my dad is actually here tonight. He's heavily featured in the book, and he is a veteran. So give it up for William Schaefer. He was in the Navy. Anyway, and I honestly couldn't have done it without his support, and his help in telling our family story and my story. You know, he was. I get choked up every time I talk about it, but he was so. He trusted me to tell his story, part of his story. I could only really tell. It was my story, but I had to reveal some of his story and some of my family's story in the process. But I highly recommend the book because I worked very hard on it and I'm very proud of it. But yeah, that was, I think, just the challenging part was revealing these really deep, traumatized parts of myself. And then still try to be funny. That was really hard.
You know, one of the themes I'm kind of seeing in a lot of your your answers is vulnerability. And I would love for you to talk about how you're able to be vulnerable without giving away pieces of your soul, and this is an unscripted question. If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
Oh no, this is right up my alley, girl. I will talk about this shit all day long. The theme of my therapy for the past 7 years. No, I think a huge part of it is just for me, when you're a storyteller, a writer, a memoir writer, or a stand-up comedian, doing podcasts, you know, whatever it is you're doing out in the world where you're revealing yourself to the world, a question you will constantly come up against is how to preserve those parts of yourself. And for me, I was very, very methodical about it and careful, because I've been burned in the past where I shared things that I regretted sharing publicly. And I leaned on the support of family and friends and a therapist of what am I comfortable showing the world? Because I'm someone who has to. I've now accepted I have to share myself with the world. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's valid. It's not selfish. You know, those are things I've had to like tell myself that sharing our stories. I'm going to ruin this quote, but the quote was something like, when you tell your story, you break chains, 1,000 chains on other people. You know, you release them from their own chain, you know, and I have felt that too from other people's stories, not giving myself that much power. I have freed so many people from their prisons. But no, I was just saying, I think for me, it was, I set rules for myself, boundaries, not rules, but boundaries that I try not to cross. And then sometimes I allow myself to tiptoe past a few to see how it feels. And I think in comedy, especially, you can try out stuff that feels a little trickier in a more safe space first. You know, like a smaller show that's more friendly and warm and not, you know, maybe not tweeting about it necessarily at first. You know, whatever, there's a way to tiptoe and see how it feels and then go, you know what, that felt too much. I'm going to just put that back in. Some of this is for me. And there's some stuff that I wish I could tell the world, really funny stories from my life, but that they live behind a boundary that I've created for myself that makes me feel more safe. And I just know they'll never come out. And that sucks sometimes, but then you have confidence knowing I have plenty of other funny stuff to talk about. I don't have to tell everyone every fucking thing that's ever happened to me. Unless we need coffee, in which case you're gonna have to cancel because I won't stop.
So I'll get back to a lighter topic, but thank you so much for that. That's great advice, especially for a lot of us who are starting our comedy careers. As you progressed in your comedy career, who would you say were your biggest supporters and how did they support you?
Well, my family was a huge supporter of me. They always cheered me on. They never questioned or doubted that I could do it. They never said, oh, you should become a lawyer. You should do, so a lot of people have that barrier of their parents expecting them to do, wanting them to do something more official or traditional. My parents were like, go for it. They were so excited, always on my side. And that was really, really helpful. And just some were early friends of mine in comedy that were in the trenches with me, and not to use a metaphor that you guys would be more familiar with. It's just like that. No. Certain people I always look back on, like I'll just give you one example. I always remember certain people that were there for me at times where they didn't need to be. And one was like, I worked at this law firm as a day job when I first started. And I would do these shows at comedy clubs that are called bringer shows, where you get stage time in exchange for you bringing 5 audience members. It's very exploitative and not a good practice, and it's not sustainable. Anyway, I would walk around my office and beg people to come to the shows so that I could do the show. I'd be like, I have to have 5 people. Can you come tonight? Can you commit now? I can't believe I did that. I look back, I'm like, I'm not the type that can like cold call people. I'm not a salesperson, but I would walk up and down the cubicles and be like, are you coming? Yes or no? Now's the time. And they'd have to commit to like 2 drinks and a cover charge, and they'd have to come see this horrible comedy show. And they were so supportive. But anyway, one of the partners at the firm, who was the only partner, a female partner at the firm, would come and see me. And she still supports my career to this day, just, as a fan. And I'll always remember people like that were there for me when I was nothing and I sucked. And, they took time, and I didn't barely even work with her. I was a low level assistant type, and she was a partner at the firm, but she just, was like, no, I see myself in you and I'm going to help you. Aww. That was really nice of her. Her name is Darnley.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, if you're comfortable sharing, what is your process when you're developing material?
It's changed over the years. It used to be like hell, like where I just would be like, what am I gonna say? And I would panic thinking I would never say something. Once I came up with one funny thing, I panicked thinking I would never come up with another funny thing again. Over time, it's become more disciplined, where I know, so I'll tell stories from my life. That's where all my jokes come from. But a lot of times I won't know that they're a joke for years. It's just something I've been telling family and friends. And then one day I'll be at a show and I'll be bored with my old material, and I'll go, oh yeah, what if I tell that story about that thing that happened? And usually the first time I tell it, it comes out perfectly, because I've been telling it to friends and family this whole time. And now I'm like, oh, that's a joke. And then I type it. Then I start working on it. I type it out. I record. I listen back. I punch up. I keep working on it. That's become my process now. But I don't try to force unless I need to. Like I need to write a joke about my husband. Like I don't do that. unless I'm starting to work on a longer set of jokes about that. And then I'll go, it needs a transition between this and this. And then I'll try to think of something, but I don't try to force it. I usually just try to draw from life experience.
You have like a work in the Comedy Bible, the author talks about having a workshop team. Do you have a team you workshop your material with, or do you do it just by yourself?
No, I wish I did. I'm a little bit of a loner in life. I don't have any friends. You guys are my friends. No, I'll be following you all on Twitter after this. No, I do have people that, I mean, my husband, I definitely will ask him what he thinks. And I don't usually do that too much, because then if he doesn't react the way I want him to, I get very angry. We get into a fight. But no, I think it's friends, the small group of friends I have, it's almost like what I said. It's like me just naturally telling people stories. And then if they laughed about it, then I'll go, oh, but I don't have a specific writing group, although I have had people I've worked with intentionally like that, in that way, where I've been like, okay, I'm preparing for this important show. I'll send you my jokes and you go through and let me know what you think. So I've done that in a more official way before. But I do recommend having that often and more than I ever have. Like I would say, find a writing partner that you can, bounce back and forth, and because you'll improve way faster than I ever did.
That's a great advice. I actually, some of the women that I performed with tonight helped create some of the material that I performed. And actually, one of my best friends is on the call watching this, and she actually started my journey into the arts by being brutally honest. And she was like, "Oh, Maureen, I love you so much, but oh my God, you're so boring." And I think it's having someone that can be honest with you like that.
Well, the audience will be honest with you too. So.
Yes.
Preserve your friendship with the audience. I think it's good. You need honesty. You need honest feedback, or you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, well, I am getting ready to pass you back to Imke, but is there anything else that I haven't asked that you want to make sure to share with our audience tonight, or?
No, just thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you all for your service, especially the wives or the husbands. Behind every great service member, there is well, sometimes you don't have anybody. I don't know. See, this is what happens. You should just cut me off. And everyone gets sad. You can see in the reflection, my husband is currently playing, I don't know. It's one of those, I just call it war. I don't know what. One of those Call of Duty. Anyway.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming tonight. And I want to thank your dad and you for your family service, because the families serve sometimes almost harder. It can be really emotional, even the journey after leaving military service. So thank you for supporting the Armed Services Arts Partnership and opening up and being vulnerable with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me. What a wonderful way to spend Friday night.
Absolutely. I'm going to pass it back to Imke now.
All right.